Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to do something pretty cool. We're going to become chemists of our own minds. We're putting together a user's guide to our feelings by looking at the very specific chemical cocktails that create our emotional states. So let's just jump right in with a question you've probably asked yourself 1,000 times.
Have you ever really wondered about it? Why is it that one day you feel like you can take on the world, and the next, you're just stuck in this loop of anxiety or you can't find an ounce of motivation to get going? It can feel so random, but what if I told you it's not random at all? What if there's a system at play?
Well, the answer is right here. Your feelings, anxiety, happiness, anger, calm, they aren't just these abstract things floating around. They are the direct result of very specific neurochemical recipes being mixed in your brain. And here's the best part. Once you know the recipe, you can actually start to influence the ingredients. All right, so every good explorer needs a map. And for this journey, our map is going to help us decode the chemical signatures of our most common, and let's be honest, our most challenging emotional states. So let's start charting the territory, beginning with a feeling that, well, a lot of us know all too well. First up, anxiety. From a biological standpoint, anxiety isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's your brain's ancient, hyper-vigilant threat detection system being cranked up to high alert. And this is the cocktail that fuels that high alert. You've got high levels of the stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, which are basically getting your body ready for a fight or flight situation. But at the exact same time, your calming neurotransmitters, serotonin and GABA, are running on empty. It's this exact combination that creates that awful feeling of nervous tension and just being constantly on edge. Okay, next up, let's look at what it feels like to be in a depressed or unmotivated state. This is a completely different chemical profile. Think of this as the energy deficient state, where your brain's drive and reward circuits have just gone quiet. So what's going on here? Well, you've got low levels of dopamine, which is the molecule of motivation. You've got low serotonin, which you need for mood stability. And you've got low norepinephrine, which gives you energy. And to make things even worse, you often have chronic high cortisol, just draining your system in the background. This is the recipe that makes it so hard to feel pleasure, or sometimes even to just get out of bed. And the last stop on our tour of these challenging states is anger. Now, what's really fascinating here is that unlike anxiety or depression, anger is a fight-oriented state. It's energized, it's focused outward, and you know what? It feels incredibly potent. The chemistry for this state is, well, it's explosive. You've got very high adrenaline for that surge of energy and aggression, and that's paired with high testosterone, which drives dominance. But here's the key. Just like with anxiety, you've got low serotonin and low GABA. And what that means is your brain's impulse control brakes are completely offline, which allows all that aggressive energy to just surge right forward. Okay, so here's our map, all laid out. You can really see the distinct chemical fingerprints of each state right next to each other. Just look at the difference in adrenaline between a depressed state, where it's low, and an angry state, where it's super high. That's the chemical difference between inaction and action. And now, look at testosterone, low in anxiety and depression, but high in anger, driving that feeling of power. And you see the common thread? Serotonin, our mood stabilizer, is in the basement for all three. This map really proves these aren't just vague feelings. They are distinct biological realities. So, now that we've mapped out all this challenging territory, where are we actually trying to go? Let's chart our destination, shall we? Let's look at the chemistry of calm. So, what does it even mean to be calm, chemically speaking? It's really all about balance, a state called homeostasis. It's when your parasympathetic nervous system, that's your rest and digest system, is in the driver's seat, allowing all your body's systems to find their optimal, stable, and easy rhythm. And this is the beautiful cocktail that gets you there. Notice the difference. We've got healthy, high normal levels of our stabilizers, serotonin and GABA. We've got high oxytocin, the bonding or connection hormone. And this is so important. Our stress and motivation hormones, cortisol and dopamine, they aren't gone. They're just balanced. They're well regulated. This is the recipe for feeling content and resilient.
Okay, this is where it gets really good. This is where the theory becomes practice. A map is only useful if you know how to navigate with it. So now, let's learn how to use your personal hormonal control panel to actually shift from one state to another. So let's start with the transition I think most people want to make, from anxiety to calm. On the left, you see the biological signature of anxiety, that overactive amygdala, the brain's alarm bell, and your whole system in overdrive. On the right is our goal, a regulated system, feeling safe and balanced. So the question is, how do we get from one side to the other?
The first set of tools on our control panel are mind-body practices you can literally use anytime, anywhere. Slow, deep breathing isn't just relaxing. It actively stimulates something called your vagus nerve, which sends a direct signal to your brain to exit fight or flight mode. Mindfulness meditation helps quiet that alarm center, the amygdala, and practices like progressive muscle relaxation have been shown to directly boost your levels of that calming neurotransmitter GABA. Now, you can also support this shift with some targeted supplements, though, of course, it's always a good idea to talk with a healthcare professional first. L-theanine, which you find in green tea, is amazing for boosting GABA and giving you a feeling of calm focus. Magnesium is absolutely crucial for relaxing the nervous system, and ashwagandha is a powerful adaptogen that helps your body become more resilient to stress over time. Okay, but what if you need to shift from that flat, unmotivated state to a motivated one? The key here is to use your behavior to change your biology. For example, getting just 15 minutes of morning sunlight can literally kickstart serotonin and dopamine production for the day. Resistance training is a fantastic way to boost both dopamine and testosterone. And this is critical. Start achieving small goals, even just making your bed, to begin what's called dopamine stacking and rebuild that reward loop in your brain. And for supplemental support here, something like rhodiola rosea is an energizing adaptogen that can give you a nice dopamine boost. SAMe is a really powerful compound that helps your brain actually build more serotonin and dopamine, and a high EPA omega-3 has some really strong evidence for supporting mood. So, let's zoom out. We've decoded the states, we've built the map, and we've explored the control panel. And this whole journey leads us to one incredibly powerful takeaway. You can move from just passively experiencing your moods to actively shaping your own well-being. And this, right here, is the point of all of this. Please remember this. By understanding the chemical cocktails that create your feelings, you move from being a passive victim of your moods to becoming an active architect of your mental state. You have a control panel. You are the architect. So, I'll leave you with this question. You have the map now, you've got the user's guide. The only question left is, where will you choose to navigate next? Thanks for tuning in.